Alira stood frozen as the alien warships hovered above her camp. Snow whipped around her. But she didn't feel the cold anymore. A group of tall figures marched through the snow toward her. 10 of them, each wore thick black armor marked with silver scars. Long claws hung at their sides, and their yellow eyes glowed beneath bone-shaped helmets. They were Karnati warriors, not soldiers. Executioners. Alira's heart pounded. She didn't run. She knew there was no escape. If they were here for revenge, for her touching one of their kind, she was already dead. The leader stepped forward. His armor was thicker than the others, with a large skull sigil painted across the chest. His voice, when he spoke, was deep and cold. "You are the one called Alira Maze?" She nodded slowly. "Yes." The Karnati looked around at the snow mound she had built. His sharp eyes paused on the white cloth flag. He stepped closer. "You stayed with him in his final breath. You spoke words of peace. You shared warmth." Alira's voice shook. "He was dying. I couldn't just let him freeze. I only wanted to help." There was silence. No one moved. Then the Karnati leader slowly dropped to one knee. He lowered his head, and then, in perfect human standard, he said, "Sister of the last roar, we honor you." Alira blinked, confused. "What?" The other warriors dropped to their knees as well. Their claws touched the snow. Their heads bowed. "You performed the rite of passing," the leader explained. "It is forbidden for enemies. But you, a soft skin, a non-hunter, gave him comfort, even in death. You shared your body warmth. You gave him a burial. You marked the place with peace." "I didn't know it was a rite," she whispered. "You didn't need to. You acted from truth. And for that, we owe you a debt that cannot be repaid." They stood again. The leader extended a clawed hand. "I'm Kravax, blood son of the Karnati High Claw. The one you held was Turvin, my brother by bone." Alira stared at his hand. "Your brother?" Kravax nodded slowly. "He died far from his pack. But he did not die alone. That matters. It matters more than war." By nightfall, Alira was aboard one of their ships. It was dark inside, built with sharp metal walls and red lights. She sat at a long table while the Karnati shared a silent meal. Thick meats, bone broths, strange fruits she couldn't name. They had offered her food too. She took small bites, unsure, but grateful. She was not a prisoner. That became clear. She was their guest. No, their kin. Kravax explained it all. In our laws, there are 3 kinds of death: alone, in battle, and in peace. The last is the rarest, to die with another holding your hand, not with hate, but care. That is a sacred thing. So I'm part of your clan now, she asked quietly. Not just clan. Bloodline, sister. You are Karnati Tara now. She didn't know what to say. Alira had spent years alone on research stations. She had no family left, and now 10 terrifying alien warriors were calling her their sister. The next day, she returned to human space aboard a Vashtir escort ship. It followed her silently all the way to the outer orbit of Earth, but instead of a welcome, she received suspicion. As soon as her shuttle landed, Earth Command surrounded it with armed guards and drones. Her comms blinked with alerts. "Dr. Alira Maze, you are to report to United Earth Security Council immediately." They treated her like a spy. Inside the briefing room, generals and diplomats stared at her with cold eyes. "Why are you traveling with alien warships?" one officer demanded. "What agreement have you made with the Vashtir Concord?" Another asked. "I didn't make any deals," Alira replied. "I just held a dying creature. That's all." They didn't believe her. Some even accused her of betrayal. As the argument grew louder, the room's power suddenly blinked off. Then the emergency lights flashed red. The screen behind the council lit up with a message. "We are the Bloodfang Vashtir. You hold our sister. Release her, or we break the sky." Alira's heart dropped. One of the generals growled. "They're threatening us. For you?" She stood slowly, voice calm. "No, they're not threatening you. They're protecting me. The way family does." Hours later, she walked out of the compound. Released only after promising to leave Earth voluntarily, she looked up at the stars. In the dark above, 5 Vashtir ships waited silently, a shadow fleet guarding their new sister. Lyra wasn't sure what would come next, but one thing was certain: she was no longer alone. The stars outside the window of the Vashtir cruiser sparkled like ice crystals. Lyra May sat quietly on a soft stone seat carved into the wall. The inside of the alien ship was strange, not metal and lights like Earth ships, but dark. Stone, bones, and glowing runes. The Carnati did not use chairs. They crouched or stood. Lyra was the only one given a bench and a cushion, even though she didn't ask for it. "You are not a guest," Kravax had told her. "You are family. We protect our own." Still, Lyra wasn't sure how to feel. The Vashtir were feared by almost every race. Even the Terran Federation warned ships to avoid their hunting zones. They were killers, yes. But with her, they were gentle, careful, too careful. She felt like she was being watched all the time. After leaving Earth, Kravax took her to a neutral station orbiting the planet Braxer 2, a trade hub with many species. The place was loud and colorful, aliens of all shapes moving through glowing halls. As Lyra walked beside Kravax and his guards, the crowd split. Even the armored trellis guards stepped aside to let them pass. Lyra felt dozens of eyes on her. Whispers followed. "That's her. The human with the predators." She made them bow. She must control them. But she didn't control them. She was just kind. That's all she had done. Inside a private chamber, Lyra met with a human diplomat, Ambassador Keen, an older man with gray hair and sharp eyes. He sat across from her at a long black table. "You've become a symbol, Dr. Mays," he said carefully. "One that's making everyone nervous." Lyra frowned. "Why? I didn't attack anyone. I didn't plan any of this." Keen leaned forward. "You were seen exiting a Carnati cruiser. Their warriors call you sister. Do you understand what that means?" "I do now," she replied. "But I didn't ask for it." "Maybe not," he said. "But it's happened. And now Earth Command thinks you're a risk, a human with the loyalty of killers. That makes you powerful. Too powerful." Lyra shook her head. "I didn't choose power. I chose compassion." Keen sighed. "Even so, there are some on Earth who want to bring you in, quietly, before things get worse." Lyra stared at him. "You mean arrest?" "Me? Protective custody," he said, avoiding her eyes. Hours later, Lyra sat alone in her temporary room. She felt cold, despite the heat inside. The walls were tight, the air still. She missed the wide sky of Thasser V. Even the growls of the Carnati halls felt more honest than this place. She didn't realize she was being watched again, until the lights flickered. And then the window screen glowed red. A voice came through. Her comm device. It was not human. "They come for you. They mean to bind you. But you are no prisoner. You are sister. Stay low. We come." She ran to the door. It was locked. Her breath quickened. She tapped the wall, trying to override the lock, but human systems didn't listen to her. She had no access. Outside, the hallway lights turned red. Alarms began to scream. In orbit above Braxer 2, a Bloodfang cruiser dropped out of warp. Its massive fang prow pointed directly at the trade station. No hails, no warnings. The Vashtir didn't ask for permission. Kravax led a boarding team of 12 warriors. They moved through the station like a storm, not killing, not destroying, just searching. And when they found Lyra's locked door, they didn't knock. The wall exploded. Inward in a shower of sparks, Kravax stepped inside. "Lyra," he said, his voice calm. She stood frozen in the smoke and dust. "You came. We did not leave kin behind." The humans tried to protest. "This is a breach of protocol. She is under our care." Kravax's eyes burned. "You locked her in a cage. It was for her protection." Agar replied with Kravax. Took a step forward. The man flinched. "You protect her with fear. We protect her with loyalty." He turned to Lyra. "Come, if you stay, war will follow." Lyra looked back once, at the place where she had almost been silenced. Then she stepped into the circle of Vashtir warriors. She left without another word. Back aboard the cruiser, Alira stood at the observation deck. Stars swirled in silence. Kravax joined her. "You are hunted now," he said. "By your own kind." "I know," she whispered. "You did nothing wrong." "I know that too. But they don't see it." Kravax was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke again. "Come with us to Skarl, the Vashtir homeworld. There, you will be safe, and there, you will understand who we truly are." Alira looked into the endless stars. She had no place among humans anymore. They feared what they couldn't control. But among the hunters, the so-called monsters, she had found something else. Respect, loyalty, family. She nodded. "Take me to Skarl." The planet Skarl was like nothing Alira had ever seen. From orbit, it looked like a dark jewel. Oceans of black water, land masses covered in glowing red forests, and sharp mountain peaks rising through heavy storm clouds. It was wild, untouched, dangerous, and it was home to the Vashtir. The Bloodfang cruiser descended slowly, moving through lightning and wind. Alira watched through the window, her heart beating fast. She had been too many alien worlds in her life, but this one felt different. It felt alive and waiting. Kravax stood beside her, silent as always, but she could sense the change in him. He was no longer just a warrior. He was home. "Is this where you were born?" she asked. "No," he replied, "but this is where I became Karnati." When they landed, hundreds of warriors gathered around the landing site. Some wore bone armor. Others had no armor at all, only deep scars across their chests and faces. They stared at Alira with burning eyes. She stepped down from the ship slowly. No one spoke. Then one of the elders stepped forward. His body was thin, almost skeletal, but his presence was strong. He carried a long staff made from a beast's spine. "You are the human," he said, voice like cracking stone. "The one who comforted the dying. The one who was named Sister." Alira nodded. "Yes." "Then walk with us. The Hunt Circle must see you." They led her to the heart of the city. Though it did not look like a city to her, it was built from stone, bone, and metal. Towers were shaped like claws. Fires burned in pits. Everywhere she looked, there were signs of battle, broken weapons, skulls, bloodstains. Yet there was also order. Children ran between the warriors, playing games that looked rough, but full of laughter. Elders sat in circles, telling stories. Hunters cleaned their blades and armor while singing in low voices. It wasn't chaos. It was tradition. And Alira was about to face it. Inside a giant circular hall made of black stone, the Hunt Circle gathered. 20 of the most powerful Vashtir leaders sat in a ring. Each had earned their place through blood and trial. Kravax stood beside Alira, silent. The elder with the spine staff stepped into the center. "This one," he said, pointing to Alira, "was not born in the hunt. She carries no claw. She has not bled for our kind. Yet she did something we did not. She stayed with Turvin," Kravax added. "She held him when he could no longer stand. She gave him warmth when the snow took him. She sang peace when death came." One of the warriors growled, "Kindness is not strength." Another nodded. "If we let one soft blood walk our lands, others may follow." Alira stepped forward, her voice firm but respectful. "I didn't come here to take anything from you," she said. "I came because I was invited, and I came because I respect what you've built. You fear us." One hunter said. Yes. She replied honestly, "You're strong, fast, deadly, but I've also seen how you protect your own. I've seen the honor you live by." She looked around the room. "You call yourselves monsters. Others do too. But monsters don't have laws. Monsters don't bury their dead. Monsters don't care about family." The room grew quiet. Then the elder spoke. "Words are wind. Prove yourself." Alira stood at the edge of a forest glowing with red mist. The trees were sharp and twisted. Strange creatures moved in the shadows. Kravax placed a small curved blade in her hand. "This is a trial. Hunt," he said. "You will not kill. You will not fight. You will walk into the forest and return with the mark of the beast. If you come back unharmed, you earn your place." "What kind of beast?" she asked. Kravax's voice lowered. The Scarlock. It hunts by sound. It fears nothing. It has killed many. Alira swallowed. And I'm supposed to bring back what? He pointed to a long feather-like spine on his belt. One of these, from its neck. Alira nodded slowly. I'll try. The forest was alive with sounds, strange bird calls, cracking branches, hissing winds. Alira moved carefully, blade in hand. She wore no armor, no tech, just instinct and calm. After an hour of walking, she heard it, a low growl behind her. She turned slowly. There it was, the Scarlock, tall, black, with 6 legs and glowing white eyes. Its body was covered in spiked fur. It crouched, ready to pounce. Alira didn't run instead. She did what no one expected. She sat down, and she sang, a soft, low song, the same she had sung to the dying Karnak in the snow. The Scarlock froze. Its growl faded. Its ears twitched. Slowly, it stepped forward. It didn't attack. It circled her, sniffed the air, then, to her surprise, lay down. Alira reached out carefully. Her fingers touched the thick fur near its neck. She plucked one long feathered spine and stepped back. Thank you, she whispered. And then she walked away. When she returned to the hunt circle, she dropped the feathered spine in front of them. None spoke. Even the elder looked surprised. No blood. No fight. One warrior muttered, she tamed it. Another said, no. Kravax corrected. She respected it. That is her strength. The elder nodded once. Alira Maze, you are not a hunter, but you are Vashtir. That night, around a great fire, warriors sang the song of Alira the soft-tongued, the sister of the last roar, the woman who tamed monsters without a weapon, and far beyond the stars. Enemies watched with growing fear, because now, humanity had something new, not just warriors, but someone the monsters called family. Darkness hung over the skies of Scarl. Inside the ancient stone council hall, red torches burned while warriors whispered among themselves. Alira stood beside Kravax, her eyes full of worry. The message was clear. The Vashtir had received a threat. An unknown ship had entered their star system, a stealth-class vessel, silent, invisible to most sensors, but not to the instincts of the hunters. It is Ashari, Kravax growled. Staring at the transmission, Alira had heard the name before. The Ashari Directive, an empire of coal mines and machines. They believed in control, order, and power through fear. They hated chaos, and more than anything, they feared unpredictable loyalty, which meant they feared her Polira, the human who held the hearts of the deadliest warriors in the galaxy. She's a threat to stability, one Vashtir elder muttered. They believe her love makes us weak. No, said Kravax, they know it makes us stronger. That's why they want her gone. That night, Alira walked alone across the bone bridge. Near the warrior temples, the wind was cold. Scarl-S twin moons glowed red above her. She was not used to this, being the center of attention, of danger. She never wanted fame or power. She only wanted to help others, to be kind, to bring peace where she could. But now, someone wanted her dead for it, and she wasn't ready. She heard footsteps behind her. It was Threx, her bodyguard, one of the few Karnati who never left her side. You should not be alone, he said in a low voice. I needed air, Alira replied. To think. Threx nodded, walking beside her. There are many who fear what they do not understand, he said. The Ashari are afraid because you are not like the rest. You changed us. That is power. I didn't want power, she said softly. No, Threx replied. That is why you were given it. The next day, the Vashtir command ship was attacked. The Ashari didn't send warnings. They sent assassins. Stealth drones slipped through shields. They moved like shadows, cold, fast, and silent. Their only goal, Alira Maze. She was in the lower chamber with Threx when the first explosion hit. Smoke filled the air. Red alarms screamed. Kravax's voice echoed through the halls. Protect the sister. Defend the halls. Threx grabbed Alira's hand. Run. They moved fast, but the assassins were already inside. thin silver machines with glowing blue eyes and sharp claws. One dropped from the ceiling, its blade aiming straight for her chest. Threx leapt between them. The blade struck him in the side. He roared in pain but didn't fall. With a single swipe of his arm, he crushed the machine's head. Go, he shouted, bleeding badly. Alira froze. I'm not leaving you. You must live, he growled. The Vashtir need you. Two more drones came from the corridor. Threx threw himself at them, body trembling, claws swinging. Alira was pulled away by two other warriors. She watched as Threx fought like a beast, and then fell to his knees. The door closed behind her. The attack ended after 10 minutes. All assassins destroyed, the ship damaged, and Threx was gone. Alira sat on the floor of the council chamber, her eyes full of silent tears. The warriors around her bowed their heads. He gave his life for you, Kravax said softly. He shouldn't have had to, she replied. Kravax placed a claw on her shoulder. We will mourn him in fire, and then we will answer. But Alira stood, voice strong. No, no more war. The warriors growled in protest. Kravax looked surprised. They tried to kill you? I know, she said. But more death won't solve this. It will only prove them right. She paused, then continued. There's another way. Your traditions speak of justice, of sacred hunting trials. Kravax narrowed his eyes. You mean the blood hunt? Yes, she said. But not for revenge, for truth. Let me lead it. Let me show the galaxy we don't need fear to win. The room fell silent. And then the elder nodded slowly. The peacemaker shall become the hunter. 3 days later, Alira stood in a black armor robe. No weapons, only her small curved ceremonial blade. Beside her were for Vashtir scouts. Ahead of them floated the coordinates of the Ashari warlord. Hidden in the asteroid field of Navar's Scar, the hunt had begun. Alira was calm, not because she wasn't afraid, but because she knew what she stood for. Not war, not hate. Honor, loyalty, peace. Inside the asteroid field, the Vashtir ship dodged spinning rocks and icy debris. The Ashari warlord was clever, hiding among the shadows, using his drones to confuse the hunters. But Alira wasn't here to fight him. She was here to outsmart him. She studied the field, the way the asteroids moved, the gaps between them, the energy trails. And then she saw it. A weak signal, a hidden ship hiding behind a dead moon rock. There, she pointed. He's cloaked, but he's leaking heat. Kravax smirked, sharp eyes. Sister. They surrounded the ship, disabled its engines with a precision strike. The Ashari warlord tried to run, but Alira stood in his path. He was tall, silver, cold-eyed. You, he said, you are the infection. The soft voice, the chaos. Alira looked him in the eye. No, she said, I'm the cure. I don't need to destroy you. I just need to show you what strength really is. He tried to draw his weapon. Kravax stopped him with one hand. And then the war was over. The galaxy had changed. Once, Alira Mace had been just a quiet xenobiologist, a human scientist who liked peaceful places and rare plants. Now, she was something else. She was called Sister of the Last Roar. She was known as the one who tamed the monsters. But Alira had never tamed anyone. She had simply held a dying predator in the snow. She gave comfort when others would have run. And that act had changed everything. Now, Alira stood at the edge of a great ceremony hall on Scarl, the homeworld of the Vashtir. Inside the giant stone circle, warriors from dozens of clans had gathered, hunters, elders, younglings, and even rival tribes. All had come to see what would happen next. Alira wore simple robes made of dark cloth and light bone, the traditional mark of a peace sister. She carried no weapon. She needed none. Kravax stood beside her. He now wore the mark of High Claw, leader of the Bloodfang clan. He had earned that title not just through battle, but because he had followed her when no one else dared to. The fires inside the hall roared high as the oldest of the Vashtir elders raised his clawed hand. Let it be known, the elder said in a voice like thunder, that Alira Maze, born of Earth, is forever bloodbound to the Vashtir. She has walked the path of the peaceful hunt. She has protected her kin. She has passed the trials of honor. He turned to her and bowed. You are no longer outsider. You are no longer soft blood. You are one of us. All around her, warriors thumped their chests. They howled into the sky. Some even cried tears of pride. Alira felt her eyes water, too. She was not born a warrior. But today, she was family. After the ceremony, Alira walked alone under the stars. The twin moons of Scartle glowed brightly in the night sky. She looked up and saw dozens of ships moving through the darkness. Some were Vashtir ships. Others belonged to different species, allies, diplomats, explorers. Ever since the day she led the hunt for the Ashari warlord, the galaxy had taken notice. And it wasn't just fear they felt anymore. It was hope. A few days later, Alira returned to the place where everything began. Thasaravi, the icy world where she first met the dying Karnak. Snow still covered the hills. The cold wind still howled through the rocks. But now, the planet felt warm in her memory. She found the grave she had built long ago. The white cloth she had left was now old and faded, but it was still there, flapping gently in the wind. Alira knelt down and placed a small gift on the grave, a carved stone of Vashtir design. Shaped like a curled claw holding a heart. It was a symbol of eternal respect. She touched the stone gently. I never forgot you, she whispered. And neither did they. When she stood up, she saw someone watching her. It was a young Karnati. No armor, no scars, just bright eyes and the curious look. Are you the sister? The young one asked. Alira smiled. I am. Did you really sing to a dying warrior? Yes. Did you fight a Scarlock with your hands? No. She laughed. I sang to that one too. The young Karnati tilted his head. Can I be like you? Alira thought for a moment. You can be better, she said. Softly, you can be brave and kind. Later that night, she sat beside the fire with Kravax. He handed her a bowl of warm stew made from local roots and herbs. You have changed us, he said. Alira looked into the flames. No, you were already good. I just reminded you. Still, Kravax said, you brought something we forgot. Mercy, wisdom, patience. Alira nodded. And you gave me something I never had. A family. They sat in silence, watching the fire crackle. In the following weeks, Alira began traveling between worlds, not as a soldier or ruler, but as a bridge kin. A new role the Vashtir created just for her. She helped bring peace between clans that had fought for years. She stopped battles before they started. She taught young warriors the strength of stillness, the value of words, and the courage it takes to forgive. Other species began to take notice. Even human diplomats started to respect her, though many still didn't understand her. But it didn't matter, because Alira wasn't working for medals or praise. She was working for the galaxy she believed in, one where strength and kindness walked side by side. One day, during a quiet moment, a message came in from deep space. It was simple. A recording of a small alien child from a distant planet. Holding up a drawing. It showed a stick figure standing between two beasts, smiling. Below it, the child had written in shaky letters, I want to be like Sister Alira. Alira's heart softened. She had never wanted to be a hero, but maybe, just maybe, being someone's sister was even better. The cold silence of space was broken only by the slow hum of the Bloodfang cruiser's engines. As it glided through the dark asteroid belt known as Navar's Scar, inside the command chamber, Alira Mays stood tall, her eyes fixed on the shimmering stars beyond the viewport. The battle was over. The Ashari warlord, once a ghost in the void, now surrendered. Across the room, Kravax watched her quietly, pride mixing with relief. Alira took a deep breath. The weight of what had just happened settled on her shoulders. She had led the sacred blood hunt, not with weapons and violence, but with courage and respect. She had outwitted a deadly enemy and offered mercy where others would have demanded death. The warlord knelt before her, his silver armor scratched and dented. His eyes, cold and calculating, now held something new, respect. You have won, he said, voice steady but low. I surrender. Spare my life. Alira looked at him carefully. Life is more than survival, she replied. It is honor. You will live if you accept peace and stop your attacks. The warlord hesitated. Then slowly, he nodded. Peace. He agreed. Word spread quickly through the galaxy. The human woman who had cuddled a dying apex predator was no longer just a scientist. She was a legend, the sister of the last roar, a peacemaker who earned the loyalty of the galaxy's fiercest killers. Ships from many worlds came to see her. Some came to challenge, others came to ally, and wherever she went, she was protected by the Bloodfang warriors who called her family. Back on Thastra V, the icy planet where it all began, Alira visited the grave of the Karnak she once held in her arms. The snow had melted, revealing a simple mound of earth and stone, marked with the same white cloth. She knelt, fingers brushing the cold ground. I didn't tame you, she whispered. I just love you. Behind her, footsteps approached. She stood and turned. Kravax and several warriors followed, their faces solemn. You showed us something no hunter has before, Kravax said. Strength is not only in claws and teeth, it is in heart. Alira smiled softly. In the weeks that followed, Alira helped the Vashtir rebuild. She shared human knowledge of medicine and science. While learning their traditions and stories, she taught them about healing, not just wounds, but fear and hate. The Vashtir taught her about honor, not just battle, but family and loyalty. Together, they grew stronger. One evening, beneath the shimmering stars of Skarl, Alira sat beside a fire with the Bloodfang warriors. They sang the song of the soft-tongued sister, the human who made monsters into family. She listened, her heart full. For the first time in her life, Alira felt she truly belonged. But the galaxy was never quiet for long. New threats would come. New battles would rise. Yet Alira faced the future with one thing clear. She was not alone. She was the Predator's sister, and the fiercest killers in the galaxy called her family.